Alright guys, I'm back with another match and this one is a little annoying. Also, I want to point out before I start going over the teams and stuff, I have the stat cards up here. They are now updated to show the abilities as well. But this is normally where I would put them. Last video was just an exception because I didn't record the team preview. But as you can see by my opponent's team, they have an Archaludon, they have a Milotic, a Frostlass, a Mousehold, a Whimsicott, and a Charizard. So my whole idea here was trying to pick a team that would kind of like my team to be able to deal with both. I was primarily expecting Megazard Y because that's typically what this would run, but I was shocked to find out that my opponent did not bring that. In fact, you guys will see it here on the preview what they did bring. So, as you can see, they never brought that. Of course, I didn't know that. I didn't kind of figure that out until I saw this lead of Archaludon Milotic. And my whole plan here is basically just Aura Sphere the Archaludon and then just Rage Powder so I don't get scalded. What I did not expect, and I should have expected this, was the Archaludon going for the Protect because obviously the Aura Sphere is the most obvious play. And then Rage Powder, this play I did get right because there was a Scald that was going into Infernape. So I predicted that correctly and I'm proud of myself. And then that does like absolutely 0 damage to Sinistcha. And then I have leftovers, of course. And one thing I will point out is my opponent does take a long time to choose their moves. But here I went for the Aura Sphere again. And I just went for Rage Powder again because I feel like my opponent is going to try to Scald again. But what I wasn't expecting after how long this turn was for my opponent to double switch into Frostlass and then swap out Milotic for Whimsicott. So my thinking, my idea is that they were going to try to stall me out with pure bulk. But when they realized that I could just one-shot them, they just double swapped. And of course, Aura Sphere does absolutely nothing to Frostlass because it's Ghost type. And then I just heal back damage. Now, what I will say is that since both of these are weak to fire, I was kind of contemplating it and I was like, nah, I just go for the Heat Wave here. And then I Rage Powder again in case Whimsicott goes for Moonblast or something else. But this turn should have been pretty obvious what was going to happen. I threatened both of them. So after the Frostlass Mega Evolves, it just goes for Protect. Spoilers, it goes for Protect. And I should have figured that it was going to do that. And then I should have also figured that the Whimsicott was just going to go for Tailwind. So I basically wasted a Rage Powder for no reason. So yeah, that was an interesting turn. So I was kind of like, wow, I could have literally, you know, just targeted, like just doubled the Whimsicott and got rid of it right here. But instead I just go for a Heat Wave, which leaves Whimsicott on 7 and burns it, which was a surprise to me. And I'm assuming this thing has Focus Sash because I haven't seen any item thing pop up. Burn leaves it on 1. And now I know I can just go for a Heat Wave. I'm kind of concerned if Infernape can take one. I Rage Powder because again, I just feel like I felt like the Whimsicott was going to Moonblast. But instead of Helping Hands, it uses Helping Hand on the Mega Frostlass, which then goes for Blizzard, which, fun times. So Sinistcha dies, Infernape literally gets taken down, I think, to 48% HP. But, on the plus side, Heat Wave connects on both. Whimsicott is gone, Frostlass is at 15%, so even if Infernape goes down, I can deal with it later. But instead, I think about it carefully for a couple seconds and I'm like, nah, I'm just going to bring in Swampert. It makes more sense. The Milotic comes back out, and then Swampert comes in, and then I basically just sit here and I think about it. So I protect. I go for an Earthquake because there's not really much that I can do to this. Oh wait, no, I went for Waterfall. I thought I went for Earthquake. I was thinking about going for Earthquake, but then I went for Waterfall instead. I protect because I know a Scald is coming my way. But instead, Milotic goes for Aqua Ring, which surprised me. I mean, it shouldn't because it's Milotic and it's a bulky stall set, so that should have been obvious. But here, I kind of think about it and I'm like, well, I can't do anything, and this is my win con for dealing with Archaludon. So I'm just going to swap out to Electros and hope I can take a hit. Here is where I initially thought about Earthquaking again as well, but then I just go for the Waterfall a second time. And then Electros comes out, and as you can tell, I did a little fun pun with their names of eels and escalators, so funny SpongeBob reference there. But this Mega Frostlass sets up Aurora Veil. The incoming Scald was obvious. Electros takes it, but also gets burned, which doesn't matter because my Electros is a special attacker. And then Swampert just gets the KO on the Mega Frostlass, so now that Frostlass and Whimsicott are gone, now all I have to do is stall out Tailwind and Aurora Veil. And right there we see that the Tailwind peters out. So now I don't have to worry about the speed control anymore. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to Mega Evolve, and I'm going to go for a Discharge Earthquake, because Mega Electros's ability Elevate is basically Levitate and Beast Boost combined, so I'm immune to ground moves and entry hazards except for Stealth Rocks. And then Swampert being ground is immune to electric, so Discharge won't hit it, Earthquake won't hit Electros. And here, the Archaludon went for Protect, and the Milotic went for Dragon Share to boost its critical hit chance on the Archaludon. And I basically just sit there and I Discharge on the Milotic, which does pretty good damage through the Aurora Veil. And then Swampert goes for the Earthquake. Also, this kind of tells you the turn order and the speed order. And because, like, well, it tells you the order because of the Pokemon that we're going to get hit first. Obviously, the Milotic eats that Earthquake pretty good. And then it gets heals from both the Aqua Ring and the leftovers. I'm still burned. And I'm just like, okay, well, my idea here is going to be Earthquake on the Archaludon, and then I'm just going to start Giga Draining the Milotic, because since it's a Stally bulk set, I can just use it as a battery, essentially. And then Swampert takes that Draco Meteor surprisingly well, given that it was a critical hit. That brings me up almost to half. And Milotic just goes for Life Dew. So at this point, I know it's a bulky stall set. So I Giga Drain, and I'm like, okay, that didn't do a whole lot, but it should mitigate the burn damage. And it's stab, well, it's a super effective move without stab, I should say. And then Earthquake goes off, Archaludon takes damage, Milotic also takes a decent amount of damage, I feel like, considering. But again, it's just going to keep healing, and Electros is basically just stalling out the burn with Giga Drain right now. And that's kind of what I'm doing, but I kind of am like, I also need to get damage off, so I decided to go for Discharge this turn instead. And again, I'm just like, if I get targeted, Swampert's going down, so I'll just Earthquake in case I don't. But again, here comes another Draco Meteor, which, again, because it's a critical hit, just ignores the stat drops from the Draco Meteor. And then another Life Dew comes in to basically restore both Pokemon. I Discharge, It does a decent amount of damage. Not the greatest, but decent. And now Archaludon's at a +2 defense, which again doesn't matter because Infernape is a special attacker and so is Electros. And yeah, I'm still holding on, and Infernape comes in. So I think back to my first play and I'm like, okay, so he knows I'm going to Aura Sphere. So I'm just going to protect with the Electros and I'm going to protect with Infernape. And if I'm right, Archaludon should protect, which means I can just KO it next turn because I can't do anything except for, you know, gambling that protect, right? That 33% chance or 66% chance, I should say. So Infernape protects, Archaludon protects second, which means that it's faster than Electros. And then Electros protects here. And then Milotic goes for the Scald, which I knew was coming, so it kind of worked. And because of that, Milotic gets more heals, and I get burned. I'm now sitting at 50% HP, and now Aurora Veil wears off. So basically, this is my chance to just hit hard. So now I'm going to Giga Drain for some good HP recovery, and now I can just go for that Aura Sphere that I've been trying to go for all game on the Archaludon. And my opponent takes a while to choose their move here because they're pretty much in a situation where if they don't play this right, they lose, right? So they're thinking really hard what they want to do. And in the end, I just go for the Aura Sphere. They accept that Archaludon is going down. And that's what I love about Archaludon, is that its Achilles heel is that it has like crappy special defense. Milotic is now at 100, but I take 35% of that back and turn that into what, like 18% HP heals. But then it gets 12% of that back from leftovers and Life Dew, and that mitigates some burn damage. And of course, I could protect Infernape, but I just know that I should just go for Aura Sphere Giga Drain. Aura Sphere will just punch a bigger hole into my Milotic, and then that'll allow the Giga Drain to do more damage. Well, not more damage, but it basically puts it in a range where it'll be too low to be able to start keeping up with the recovery. So I let Infernape go down after hitting it with Aura Sphere and bringing it down to half. And then that Giga Drain just knocks out 39% of its HP, and I get almost all the way back up to full. And then leftovers and Life Dew brings it back up to 23%. I'm hit with burn. My win con is really easy. I just discharge. I was thinking about going for Giga Drain, but I chose to discharge. And then my opponent's sitting here thinking, we never saw what their last move was. I know that it has Scald and then Dragon Cheer and Life Dew, but that was it. So I just discharged, and that's pretty much the match. So if you guys enjoyed, drop a like, leave a comment, and yeah, anytime I get really interesting matches like this, I will just keep posting them. So I will see you guys next time.